If you decide to become a doctor, after all your training, it will still take 5 more years before you are successful. So therefore, if you're not willing to commit 5 years, don't start at all. Right. Well, so develop future orientation and think about the future most of the time. If someone has a problem, you say, okay, what's the solution? And think about the future. When someone makes a mistake, you say, okay, you've made a mistake. Next time, in the future, why don't we do it this way? Keep thinking about the future, and when you're thinking about the future, your dimmer switch is on full, and you're happy, and you're more positive, and you have more energy, you're more creative. You're the best person that you can be. Almost all of our problems in life come from people who are talking about the past. They're worrying about the past. They're angry about the past. They're critical about the past. They keep talking about the past. Don't be like that. Think about the future. Now, the second quality of top people is top people are goal-oriented. Top people are goal-oriented in that they think about their goals most of the time. They think about their goals and how to achieve them most of the time. So let me give you a simple 7-step formula for setting and achieving goals. There are many more elaborate or bigger formulas, but I will give you a 7-step formula that you can write down on one of the back pages of your booklet. Step number 1 is to decide exactly what you want. Most people have no idea of what they really want. They say, well, I want to make more money. But that's not a goal. That's just a wish or a fantasy. They say, I want to be healthy. But that's not a goal. These are not goals, okay? A goal is something that is very clear and measurable. So decide exactly what you want. Number 2 is write it down. Write it down on paper. The very act of taking a goal and writing it down increases the likelihood, the probability of achieving it by 10 times, by 1,000%. So write it down. Number 3 is set a deadline. Set a date at which you will achieve the goal. Sometimes people say, well, what if I write a deadline and I don't achieve it by the deadline? Then you set a new deadline. And you keep setting new deadlines until you finally come to the right deadline. So number 1 is decide what you want. Number 2 is write it down. Number 3 is set a deadline. If you just do that, you will have separated yourself from most of the people in the world. Number 3 is make a list. Make a list of everything that you can think of to do to achieve the goal. Every step, every activity, every action. Write down everything you can think of. And as you think of new things later, write them on the list. Keep writing your list until your list is complete. You can't think of anything else. Number 5 is take your list and organize the list. Organize the list by priority. What do you have to do first? Organize the list by sequence. What do you have to do before you do something else? And a list organized by priority and sequence is a plan. So now you have a goal and a plan. Now you've moved into the top 3% of people in the world. You have a goal and a plan. Step number 5 is take action immediately on your plan. Take one step. Take any step. But do something immediately to start the process moving. Do you remember that Confucius once said, a journey of 1,000 leagues begins with a single step? What we have found in history is that the achievement of any great goal begins with a single step. And then you take another step. And then you take another step. And if you take enough steps, you can accomplish any goal in the world. So number 7 is do something, take action on your goal every day. Every single day, once you have decided on your goal, and let's say that your goal is to double your income, okay? Once you have decided to double your income, every single day do something that moves you in that direction. Never let a day go past. 7 days a week, 365 days a year, do something every day that moves you toward your most important goal. If you can do that, you change your life. Because here's the wonderful thing. When you have a clear future vision, and then you break it down on paper into goals, and then you do something every day that moves you towards your goal, you feel happy. You feel powerful. Your self-esteem goes up. You feel confident. Your dimmer switch goes on full. You become more optimistic and more creative. Your whole world works better with a goal. And the reason most people are unhappy today is because they don't have any goals. Just like the pilot, or the aircraft pilot, not having a destination, they would just go in circles. So I'm going to give you an exercise. Oh, this is good stuff. What I want you to do before the end of the day, before you go to bed tonight, I want you to take a sheet of paper, and at the top of this sheet of paper, write the word goals, and then write today's date. Then I want you to write down 10 goals. Write down 10 goals that you would like to accomplish in the next year. You can write more than 10 if you like, but you write at least 10. Now this is the only real exercise I'm going to give you, and if you do this, it will change your life. Write down a list of 10 goals. So I want you to promise me that before you go to bed tonight, you'll make a list of 10 goals. Promise me, say yes. Now, even if you're lying, say yes. I gave this exercise to a seminar of 500 women at a convention some years ago. 2 months later, I met a woman who had been at that seminar. And they were sharing rooms in the hotel. She was sharing a room with another woman. They had come from different parts of the country, and they were sharing a room to keep expenses down. She said, my whole life has changed since I wrote my 10 goals. She said, it's wonderful. I've accomplished half of the goals. I am making twice as much money. She said, my life is transformed. She said, but let me tell you a story. She said, when I got back to my room that night with my roommate, and we all said, yes, I'll write down 10 goals, I immediately got out a piece of paper, and I began to write my goals. And my roommate said, what are you doing? I said, well, I promised Brian I would write down 10 goals. So I'm writing down my 10 goals. She said, that's just silly. That doesn't work. That's just something you say in conventions. She said, oh no. She said, I promised to write down my 10 goals. She said, oh, don't waste your time. She said, no, I said I would do it, and I'm going to do it. So she wrote down her 10 goals. Well, the unfortunate part of the story is this, is the woman who didn't write down the 10 goals had left the business and gone back to working as a waitress in a cafe. The woman who had written down her 10 goals had transformed her life and doubled her income in 2 months. So, once you've written down your 10 goals, there's one more part of the exercise. I want you to look at your list of goals, and I want you to ask this question. Which one goal on this list, if I could achieve it within 24 hours, would have the biggest positive impact or effect on my life? Which one goal? And you read through your list of goals, and you pick the one goal that if you could achieve that would have the greatest impact on your life. Then you take that goal and you write it at the top of a new piece of paper. And then you set a deadline. And then you make a list of everything you can think of to achieve that goal. And then you organize the list by priority and sequence. And then you take action on that goal, and you do something every day. If you will follow this formula that I've just given you, write down 10 goals, select the most important goal, make a plan to achieve that most important goal, and do something every day, my promise to you is in a week, a month, a year from now, your whole life will be different. You will never be the same. This changed my life. It's changed the life of every person who has ever practiced it. As long as you don't make an excuse not to write down your 10 goals before you go to bed. Because I'm coming over to your house tonight to check. Now, the last orientation I want to share with you is excellence orientation. Excellence orientation means that you must commit to excellence to be successful. You must decide that whatever you do for a living, you are going to be the best at what you do. Congratulations. Keep going. Never give up. And your success is guaranteed.